Robert Coleman, who used to be an usher here, is living now in Albuquerque, New Mexico. He's familiar with a number of medicine men down there, Indian medicine men. He told me an interesting thing about a member of the tribe who was very ill, and the local medicine men couldn't do anything for him. Couldn't do anything for her, rather, because it was a woman. And they brought in this special medicine man, and he said when the special medicine man came in, they had a pot of boiling hot water. The test of a medicine man is that he can put his hand, his arm, into this boiling water, and there'll be no inflammation, no burn of any kind, and leave it there for about 10 minutes. That's a sure sign he is disciplined and trained, has served his apprenticeship. And then after that, he said, he put some blankets on the woman, chanted some Indian songs, that is, prayers, incantations, holy songs based upon their tribal beliefs. And then he said he lay down beside the woman, went to sleep, calling on the Great Spirit. When he woke up, he said the friend has healed her. And of course meant the Great Spirit. That's what this particular tribe calls God, the Great Spirit. Now what did he mean by that? Well, he came, of course, believing, and in this passive, quiet state of mind, as he began to chant, the woman, of course, was receptive, open-minded, ready to receive. According to your faith is it done unto you, according to your belief is it done unto you. And she being open and receptive, and he full of faith and confidence in the vitality, the intelligence, and the miraculous healing power that is within him. And his faith is communicated to her in that deeper state of mind, and then she got well. That's what we call prayer therapy, or some people call it spiritual treatment, and so forth. It's simply dwelling upon the infinite spirit and power that is within you. I am the Lord that healeth thee. I am the Lord thy God. I will come and heal thee. I will restore health unto thee and heal thee of thy wounds, saith the Lord. All these, of course, are biblical expressions. All healing is of the Most High. So there's only one healing presence, you see. And when you pray for a person, just like this medicine man did, you don't dwell on symptoms of the bodily condition or fever or anything. You just dwell upon the intelligence, the wisdom, the vitality, the wholeness, and the beauty and the perfection of the infinite, animating, sustaining, and strengthening this other person. And then the presence of God is resurrected in the other. And that's the basis of all healing. Dr. Elsie McCoy in Beverly Hills, who wrote an article for my book called Psychic Perception, and I'm quoting what she said. She was engaged to a very wonderful surgeon in Chicago. She gave me permission to write this in the book, of course, and she shows clearly what constructive thinking according to principle will accomplish. She has studied extensively in Europe and Asia. Her early days was engaged to a prominent surgeon in Chicago. They were separated by over 1,000 miles due to their different assignments. She operates in Beverly Hills. Ever since she was 18 years of age, she has made it a habit, she said, to affirm during the day, only divine right action takes place in my life. And whatever I need to know is revealed to me instantly by the infinite intelligence within me. Her gradual reiteration of these truths caused them to reach the subconscious mind, which responded accordingly. One night, while she was sound asleep, she saw and heard clearly, in a vivid dream, her fiancé in Chicago talking to a nurse, and in addition, dating her for a weekend, saying to her, "You know I'm engaged," but she is 1,000 miles away and knows nothing about it. Dr. McCoy phoned him the next day and told him about the silly and foolish dream she had had and laughed about it. He was furious and accused her of having employed detectives and of spying upon him. With that, she dissolved the engagement and subsequent events showed the wisdom of her subconscious in protecting her from what would undoubtedly have been a tragic marriage. Her right thinking activated her subconscious mind, which revealed to her what she should know before she got married. That's a very interesting thing. So the subjective seeks to protect you if you'll only listen to it. Some brush these things aside and say, oh, it's only a dream. But there's such a thing, as precognition, as prescience, seeing events before they happen. And also you can protect yourself if you see something negative for yourself or another, because prayer will change your mind. A girl we'll call Louise is written up in Psychic Perception, by the way. Her name was Louise Barrows before she got married. She is now Mrs. Wright, a secretary of mine. And she was informed many years ago by her foot surgeon that it was necessary to operate on her left foot to bring about a healing, and that this would necessitate having her leg in a cast as well as using crutches for 2 months or more. She prayed that infinite intelligence of her subconscious mind would guide and direct her to come to the right decision. She turned this request over to her subconscious mind every night, and at the end of the fortnight, she saw a doctor, a friend of the family, who in the dream state pointed to hexagram 35 in the I Ching, which said, progress. The next day she went to visit him, and on examining the foot, he advised her that he could bring about a perfect alignment and adjustment by manipulation and exercise, which she would have to practice, and a perfect healing followed. That's back in 1961, the first time I gave a series of lectures on the meaning of the I Ching for Southern California. Actually, I think I was the first to introduce it here. The subconscious mind usually speaks and reveals answers symbolically. Louise, having taken 2 classes on the I Ching with the speaker, became absorbed and engrossed with its scientific and metaphysical approach to life. And undoubtedly her subconscious knew she would follow the directions of the hexagram. For it always speaks to you in a way, in a voice, in a symbol that you will follow and understand. It will not speak to you in a voice of someone you dislike or you disapprove of. It spoke literally to her when it revealed the doctor she should see for the healing of her foot. So the Lord the Lord is the lordly power within you. There's only one power anyhow. Makes himself known in a vision and will speak to man in a dream. That's what your Bible says, because it also says, in a dream and a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon man, slumberings upon the bed, he openeth the ears of man, sealeth their instructions. There's only one being, and that power is within you. It's called the life principle, called the living spirit almighty. It's called by many names. But remember, you do not put self-expansion into the seed. You do not give vitality to the seed. You put the seed in the ground, it won't grow in your pocket. And you water and fertilize the seed. And as Judge Strord, the author of inimitable textbook, says, your quiet contemplation of your desires and accomplished facts is the way to pray. The feeling of pleasure and restfulness in foreseeing the certain accomplishment of our desire is the way to get the answer to your prayer. The operation, he says, is that of a gardener, and it's more or less an exact analog of that of a gardener. We do not put self-expansion or vitality in the seed. We sow it, don't we? And then we water it and fertilizing it, knowing that it's going to expand and unfold in a wonderful, wonderful way. And of course it will expand in a wonderful way if you water it with faith, with expectancy, with understanding. And then wonders will begin to happen in your life. A thought is the most powerful force in the universe, you know. Your word is a thought expressed. If you are in a position of authority, your thought or word can direct how missiles, nuclear energy, dynamite, or thermonuclear weapons are to be used. Your thought determines how electricity is to be used. Likewise, your thought directs the operation of your life. Your subconscious mind could be likened to an iceberg. 90% of it is below the surface. It is your subconscious mind that does the work according to the orders given by your conscious mind. What you think with your conscious mind, you produce with your subconscious, you see. A very interesting thing, which I think you will appreciate, is to know about Dr. Arthur Thomas. He's now minister of the Church of Religious Science in Pasadena, but he was the minister in Reno, Nevada, for a long time. He gave me permission to write this about him. He had been a captain in the British Navy at one time. More recently, he had been in the wholesale business as well as in the real estate in Los Angeles. About 10 years ago or more, he started attending my lectures on Sunday mornings. He said, I realized suddenly my thought was the only creative power of which I was aware, and I was going to create what I really wanted. Consequently, he began to affirm to himself frequently, I am a minister now. I am teaching the truths of life to people. This is what he used to say to himself. Every night he would imagine he was expatiating on the great truths to a wonderful group of men and women in a church. Not any particular church, just a church. You can do that in your mind, can't you? He continued to think along these lines for a month or so when he decided to take the ministerial course at the Institute of Religious Science here in Los Angeles, confident of the end result, as he had already imagined and felt as true the reality of that which he imaged in his mind. He passed all tests and examinations in divine order, was offered the church immediately after finishing his seminary course. He is now doing exactly what he decreed mentally. He knew that his subconscious mind would respond mathematically and accurately according to his thinking process. That's the meaning of according to your faith is it done unto you. And of course it is. During a trip to Mexico a few years ago in its famous pyramids, I met a minister who had a pronounced facial tic, which was very aggravating and humiliating to him. He had received alcoholic injections, which were supposed to deaden or paralyze the nerve. But after some months, the tic flared up again. The condition became very acute when he spoke before his congregation or other social gatherings. He had reached the point where he was actually contemplating resigning because of the comments of the people and his own sense of embarrassment. You know, the tic was in the right eye, and you think, well, this particular aggravating condition would go on while he was talking. Well, as he said to me, you know, a lot of people think I'm dating someone or I'm flirting with them, he said. After a prolonged discussion, I remarked that I had a deep inner feeling that he had a pronounced sense of hurt, plus a guilt complex, which he was unwilling to face subjectively and objectively. This tic condition was affecting his right eye, which could possibly symbolize something he did not want to look at in his home or office. There was some reason why his subconscious mind was selecting his face and his right eye as a scapegoat. This situation needed his psychic perception to recognize how to deal with it. He admitted freely that he no longer believed in what he was teaching, which gave him a guilt complex. Moreover, he was afraid to resign because he felt he could not make a living outside the ministry. He deeply resented members of his board who criticized whenever he deviated from the orthodox standard of teaching. All this nervous pressure was converted by his subconscious mind into a tic. The affliction compensated him in a morbid way for his failure. to be honest and forthright, and admit to his congregation that he no longer believed according to the directives and dogma of the church. He freely admitted this to me, and I suggested to him, in turn, that on the following Sunday, when he returned from his vacation, he should speak freely from the platform and tell his congregation that he was resigning, since he no longer believed what he was preaching. He understood that to teach one thing and to believe another created a powerful negative conflict in the mind, resulting in mental and physical disorder. He spoke from the depths of his heart to his congregation, then resigned. In a letter to me, he said, "I felt a tremendous relief, and a great sense of peace came over me.